I love RPGs, one of my favorite genres and something that really brought me into gaming. I remember the first time playing the original Final Fantasy on the NES and just absolutely having my mind blown. And then that year I also got the Bard's Tale 2 for my Commodore 64, and that was just chef's kiss perfection. Just one of my absolute favorite games and something I still play today. The Bard's Tale trilogy is on Game Pass and absolutely worth the download. It is amazing. What's going on, everyone? I am Jay, the channel of Square Pegs. My buddy Hallowed That Game did a video a few months back. Link is up here. And he put together a list of his top 10 favorite RPG protagonists. And I said, you know what? That sounds easy. I can totes do that. And yeah, I've been sitting on this video now for like 3 months, hemming and hawing over who my favorite protagonists are because, yeah, this was really tough to put together. The rough draft had 23 characters on it. But I whittled it down. We are to our top 10, and I want to run it over with you and give you my reasoning as to why.
I'm going to try and avoid as many spoilers as possible with these, so in at number 10 is Rein Schwartz from Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. One of the things I really like about Rein is despite his unbelievable powers and absolutely incredible backstory as a military hero, as the Ashen Chevalier, is the fact that he's just a guy who's trying to be normal. I love that he stuck with what he knew. He went to the Thorsbranch campus in previous games and enrolled as a teacher there after he got out of the military and after he completed his training and his education. I love that he's trying to give back and trying to teach the kids of Class 7 that they can be more than what they think they are and that the world is bigger than what they see it as. He's a really interesting character to me, and I think there's something that a lot of people would see in him if they had the opportunity to play this game. I really wish that the first two would come out here in the States on the Switch. I know they've been released on the PSP, PS3, and PS4, but the Switch has such a wide audience now, and with 3 and 4 being on there, it feels a shame that it's not here. Still, I know they can be picked up on Steam, and I'll be doing that eventually just so I can get the entire backstory. I've actually kind of hit pause on playing this game because I want to play those first two just to kind of get the entire backstory of Rein and his friends. But Rein Schwartz, I felt a connection with the character the first time I played it. I think he's really cool. I knew when I did this series that I wanted to have someone in here from Fire Emblem, and I kept thinking it was going to be Claude from Fire Emblem Three Houses, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it's gotta be Corrinne from Fire Emblem Fates, right? Talk about just the perfect RPG character to play. You're able to put your own spin on the character. You can play as either the male or the female version of Corrinne. You're a member of both the Nor and the Hoshido royal family. Two factions that are at war. You are the go-between between the two states. It's just a fascinating character story into morals and choices, and I think the game does a brilliant job in letting you see, no matter what, the personality of Corrinne that shines through. A very caring and just deeply respectful and loving person that wants nothing more than for there to be peace and for people to survive and not just be killed outright. Corrinne's a really neat character. The Fire Emblem games are some of my favorites of all time, and I really appreciated the Fire Emblem Fates take on what the Fire Emblem games could be. So often we were just kind of tossed in and told, this is the character you're playing, and this is the first time you're really kind of able to tailor it to who you want to be. Corrinne's an awesome character. At number 8 from one of my absolute favorite series is Lloyd Irving from Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube and elsewhere. He shows up a lot. Lloyd is just a joy of a character. And shout out to Scott Menville of Teen Titans fame for voicing him on the GameCube version because it's totally just Robin talking to me throughout the game. I kind of love it. He is one of my favorite characters. So I think one of the things you'll see as we kind of go through this is that I like kind of two characters. I like very funny characters in RPG, or I like characters that are pretty stoic and reserved and have kind of a more real-world appeal to them. Lloyd is decidedly the goofier side of things. I mean, when you first meet Lloyd, he's asleep in class, and he's punished. He's holding water barrels, and yeah, just kind of standing up there. He is a little naive. He's very short-tempered. He's kind of impulsive, and these are all things that I just am drawn to. I think he's an absolutely phenomenal character. He is an unbelievably positive character. He has strong ideals and a good moral code and wants nothing more than protect his friends Colette and Genus, and it's just, he's awesome. I absolutely love Lloyd. He's such a great character, and his development throughout the Tales of Symphonia game and into the sequel and his subsequent appearances everywhere else in the Tales series are just phenomenal. Lloyd is marvelous. All right, in at number 7, this one might be cheating, but I'm going with Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. Now, I say it might be cheating because you're really able to kind of influence the story based on the personality you want to pursue in this game, but that kind of makes Shepard one of the ultimate protagonists, right? Like, you have direct impact over the way the story develops based on your choices. Now, Shepard is the main character, the main protagonist of Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. You are able to make moralistic and deeply important choices that build on everything in the game, whether it's basic relationships with crewmates all the way up to things that impact the overall story arc of the way the games develop. And I say plural because choices made in the first Mass Effect will impact things in the third one. It's remarkable. This is BioWare at their absolute best. I'm a huge fan of the Mass Effect games, and I think that being able to take control in that depth and being able to kind of just work your way through a story with a character that you really tailor make is just phenomenal. And Shepard embodies everything that makes a great RPG protagonist. At number 6, we have Ramza from Final Fantasy Tactics, a game that I really hope Square brings back soon because I love this series so much. Whether it's this one or the advanced games, Final Fantasy Tactics is just brilliant. Now, Ramza is a really interesting character because Ramza starts out kind of, I don't want to say selfish, but it is more self-motivated than being selfless. I mean, his entire thing is to defend his family's name and uphold the traditions and the respect that his father earned during the 50 Years' War. But eventually, he kind of gets disillusioned with that, right? And he leaves his house and becomes a mercenary. He does that under the auspice of becoming someone who can protect people from injustice. He just wants to help people stop suffering. And that's huge. He is the embodiment of virtue. I think that's probably the best way to put it. It feels almost like the Avatar from Ultima, right? He's the embodiment of what virtue is. And as he grows and as he develops, he becomes more virtuous and more understanding of people's plight and wanting to protect them. And it just kind of makes him the ultimate hero. But for something that is so strategy focused and is really in depth with its story and showing kind of like the deep effects that war has on families and countries, it's a fascinating look into what characters can become when they stop relying on what their name is and start fighting for a greater cause. Number 5 is Welkin from Valkyria Chronicles, and this one's interesting to me because the first time I played Valkyria Chronicles, I did not get into it at all. I didn't care for the game whatsoever. It took me until playing it again when I got it in the Humble Choice bundle a couple months ago for it to kind of really sink its hooks into me. So why do I like Welkin, though? Why did he connect with me? Well, one of the things I really like about Welkin is his innate creativity and his love of nature. His ability to just kind of lose himself and sit down and draw and kind of just be all encompassed by the nature around him is kind of inspiring, right? Despite the fact that the world is crumbling around him, he can still find beauty in something as simple as a fish swimming in a stream. But beyond that, one of the things that Welkin is really amazing about isn't the fact that this isn't a character that has to discover what he's good at. He knows what he's good at. He's a skilled soldier, and he knows that he can win, and he can lead a squadron to victory. It's really interesting to watch the switch flip with Welkin as the game progresses, because despite the fact that all of his strategies are still centered around nature, and his obsessive-compulsive kind of just observation of all things natural around him is kind of what drives the character and are all the references he makes in the game, he is an unbelievably skilled soldier with crazy ability. And I think that's really fascinating to see. He's not a savior character. He had to work at his skills. He had to build his abilities up, and he hones them, and he believes in them, and he executes them. In at number 4 from Final Fantasy VI is my personal favorite character from that game, Locke. I am a sucker for thieves. I always have been. That's the main class I play when I play Dungeons & Dragons. My favorite X-Men character was Gambit. I like thieves. I like the bad guy. The rogue is the fun one to play, and that's what Locke is. Locke is a thief, or he prefers treasure hunter, but he's a thief that believes in doing the wrong thing for the right reason. Like, he's definitely going to steal and he's going to break in, but he's going to save people at the same time, and he wants nothing more than for people to be safe and to protect them. His devotion to Terra and eventually to Celeste is remarkable. His dialogue is hilarious. His gameplay is a lot of fun. He's got great dialogue throughout. I just think that Locke is a wonderful character. This is kind of like picking your favorite child, because I actually really like every character in Final Fantasy VI, but when it comes down to it, it's either Locke or Celeste, and they're kind of two sides of the same coin based on later happenings in the game. But Locke gets the nod just because he's the one I was first drawn to in the game, and the first one that was my favorite. In at number 3 from Assassin's Creed Odyssey is Cassandra. Now I can hear the eyes collectively roll across the globe as I list a character from Assassin's Creed, but let me have this one, okay? Assassin's Creed Odyssey plays like an action RPG to me. You are upgrading gear, you are improving stats, you have a skill tree that you can level up. It is an action RPG, and Cassandra is such an amazing character. She is brilliantly written. She is absolutely hilarious with a deep sense of honor and justice that is just awe-inspiring and so much fun to just dive into and pick apart as she kind of reveals her backstory and finds out who she is and where she fits into this massive world that is the Assassin's Creed universe. It's my personal favorite Assassin's Creed game. As much as I love Valhalla, Odyssey is always going to be number 1 for me just because of my love of Greek mythology, and Cassandra is tip-top in the list of Assassin's Creed protagonists for me. I understand that a lot of people don't care for the RPG direction that the Assassin's Creed games are taking, but for me personally, I am so happy they've gone that way because I find them to be unbelievably fun to play, and they're just rich and compelling and full of story now. Cassandra is aces. Definitely a top 3 for me. In at number 2 from the Disgaea series is Laharl. Now, all that stuff I said about justice and helping people and wanting to do better for all those other characters on this list, yeah, throw that right the hell out the window because Laharl is the complete opposite of that. He's arrogant, he's snarky, he's rude, he feels himself to be better than everyone else, and he is unbelievably hilarious, just like every other character in the Disgaea universe. One of his weaknesses is taking offense and being injured by optimistic phrases. If he hears the word love, he's hurt. He has a weakness for attractive women. He considers himself to be evil. He's the wannabe king of the underworld, but he never really does anything that's actually, like, bad in the game. I mean, he does consider taking over the earth, but he doesn't actually get there. He has a massive ego. He loves to laugh evilly. It's just, look, he's hilarious. I mean, you start the game off by him waking up from a 2-year nap. I mean, that's really all you need to know about Laharl. He's a lot of fun. I love the Disgaea series. It's a fun spin on strategy RPGs that I think have really kind of found their own niche in the market now that, you know, a lot of tactical games are just kind of blasé now. You have Fire Emblem and that's about it. And it's nice to see the Disgaea series continue to move forward and continue to be supported. And I'm glad it's found a home on the Switch because I think it's a brilliant series and Laharl is a wonderful character. And probably surprising absolutely nobody, number 1 for me is Ryo from Suikoden 2. This is my favorite JRPG, and Ryo is my favorite character by far. And he kind of breaks every mold for me because I don't typically like silent protagonists, and he is a silent protagonist. I don't typically like savior characters, and he is a savior character. But where he succeeds for me and what makes him so compelling and so interesting and so much fun to play is just the overall story of Suikoden 2 and what you're able to do in the game. One of the things I really like about the Suikoden series is how important dialogue is. And the dialogue that you have with other characters can influence whether you're able to recruit them later on to join your army, and also kind of just drive the story in a direction. There's several different endings in this game, and dialogue choices can help determine some of those along the way, so you kind of need to be paying attention. Ryo is the perfect hero. He's a victim of circumstance at the start of the game that is tossed into just an absolutely unforgiving situation, and he comes out on top. And he never stops fighting for what the right thing is. And that's kind of great. And I love characters like that. I mean, some of my favorite books are the Sword of Shannara books, The Hobbit, things like that, high fantasy, where that's the general concept. A character is tempted, he can be defeated, he can be knocked down, but he keeps getting back up and he keeps fighting for the right thing. And that's Ryo in Suikoden 2. My favorite character in any RPG.
All right, there you have it. My 10 favorite RPG protagonists. some Westerns, some JRPG, and just stuff that I absolutely adore. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my choices, and let me know if there's anyone that you think I absolutely overlooked. I would love to hear what your favorite RPG protagonists are. Please hit like, please subscribe down below if you have not done so already, and in particular, if you really enjoy the work I do around here, please consider becoming a monthly Patreon sponsor, or check out the link to our merchandise. Links to both pages will be in the pinned comment down below, as well as to all of our presence on social media. I'd love to have you guys follow along and carry on the discussion on other sites. Until next time, I've been Jay. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. Until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.